Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today we are talking about waterproof membrane tape. In particular, a company called gtape. And they have multiple widths of their product. This is an acrylic-based tape that is self-tearable, like that. It's self-sealing, and it's really easy to use. It's our favorite tape for using for putting on the tops of deck joists, and we'll go into that in a little bit. Okay, so gtape comes in 5 different widths. Actually 6, if you're special. There's a 2-inch, a 4-inch, a 6-inch, a 9-inch, and a 12-inch roll. So some of the characteristics I like about this tape, it's really thin. It's easy to work. You don't necessarily need a knife as much as you do with some of the other brands. So you can just rip it like that. And it's really thin. So probably the hardest part about gtape is getting the paper off the back. So usually, sometimes I use a blade, and you can unstick it a little bit. So it has a paper backing, all right, and an acrylic base. Probably the best part about gtape is if you make a mistake and you touch it to itself, it easily comes off. So check that out. You can smash it together, and it peels right off. It is sticky. In the hotter weather, it'll stick to your hands, and it'll stick to your gloves quite a bit. So you don't necessarily want to wear gloves so much when you're doing this, because I usually take mine off because it sticks to your gloves like crazy, and then you're just like doing this a lot, trying to, oh, see, stuck again. No problem with gtape. So this is their 2-inch version. This is like their standard joist topper, which is kind of cool because back in the day we used to do this before this stuff was invented, and we had to cut it down into 2-inch strips because the closest we had was a 4-inch strip. So it's kind of nice to have a 2-inch strip available to us. So that's pretty much what a joist tape is. It's here to protect the framing. So in the Pacific Northwest, we get a lot of pine needles and sediment and stuff that goes in between the deck boards. This is the first place that rots, is the top of a joist, where all that stuff is just sitting there, and it doesn't necessarily get cleaned out all the time. So a joist protection tape is a great option if you want to get some longevity out of your framing. So another reason to use it is if you have a double joist. The first place a double joist is going to rot is right here, where the moisture gets in between here, and it seeps in, and then it's going to eventually just decay the inside of these 2 boards. So they have a 4-inch version, and again, I love it because you can just tear it. Sometimes, I'll give you a tip. Sometimes when you're using the product, what I like to do is, so I don't have to keep starting new rolls or starting a new peel, because sometimes that's the most frustrating and time-consuming part, is just getting the tape off the backer. Again, either use a blade, like so, or you can keep tearing the tape until you get a piece of paper off. Sometimes I'll take a roll, and if you leave a little bit of your paper exposed, you'll be good to go. So the one thing is, if the tape comes around and gets to the back side of the paper, it sticks really well to that paper, and you may not be able to get it off. So you have to do a little bit of paper management as you're unrolling your tape. Okay, so here's a 4-inch going on to a double 2x4. Okay, now if I rip this and I don't rip this piece, okay, now I have an easy way to peel my next piece of tape off of this roll. You just got to think about it a little bit in advance is all. So you can tuck that, wrap that. Now you got a protective layer where the water's not going to penetrate between these 2 joists. Cool thing about this tape, it's self-sealing and waterproof, so as you put your screws through your decking into your joist, it's going to seal every single one of those fasteners, nails or screws. A really high quality. You might find yourself paying a little bit more for this product because it's acrylic. It's like the new technology that's coming out. You're probably going to see more and more of this style of tape being developed in the future. But for now, gtape is the brand that I use, that I really like. It works really well. Another thing that we use it for is a flat block. We do a lot of flat blocking in our framing. So depending on the size of the block, we might have a ton of these going around a circle. That's when we start getting into the wider widths, the 9-inch and the 12-inch. You know, the 9-inch works really good for putting up a ledger board on the house. You need to protect the, put a waterproof barrier on the house before you put up your ledger board. This works really good for that. It's, like I said before, super thin, high performance, easy to smooth out. If you got an extra hand, it works really well for that as well. And when you start getting into your wider tapes, what I recommend is that you don't take your whole piece, rip it, and peel the whole thing. You want to just peel part of it. Sometimes I'll just rip it like this, and then you'll get a little bit of a fray, and then you'll be able to peel off some from there. There we go. So sometimes that's a little bit quicker. But like I said, I might just peel away 4 to 6 inches to start this roll, right? And then kind of figure out where I want to place it over my flat blocking and kind of get that started. Another cool thing about gtape, if you make a mistake, this stuff will peel back. You can see it's already starting to take on the characteristics of the treated lumber. It'll stick to it, but it's repositionable. So you can actually tear it or take it back and not rip it and then reinstall it like that. And then once you got a good line, then you can start peeling back the tape and just keep smoothing it out like this. Okay? And then once you're to the point where you're past your material, you can just rip it and then tuck it. Now, lengthwise, it's not going to rip as easy, so if you have a knife, it cuts real easy. And then you can tuck the corners. You can fold them if you want, like this, where you cut a little bevel or 45 in it. Tuck the corner like that. Same thing over here. You can even peel this away. So it's really flexible as far as being able to peel stuff away. Look at that. So I don't suggest that you fully wrap this stuff unless you're burying it underground. Lumber still needs a place to breathe, so you've got the back side. Let that breathe, but you can all protect the tops and the sides of your product. And as long as the moisture has a place to escape, it's good. Moisture is always going to try to leave out the top of a board first, but since we're trying to protect it from permeating everything, once you cover it and shade it, you'll be fine. So that's my tip on how to use gtape, and that's why I use it. If you like what you saw, please click that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified of future releases, click the bell icon as well. Thank you very much and have a great day.